Thank you again, everyone, for joining us for this event on Saturday, Small Business Talk. On this event, we're going to be talking about PPP loans. I am Polly Ramirez, your host, and then here are Lorena and Melanie, which they're going to be doing like really quick intros. Lorena, you go first.
Yeah, well, Polly, thank you so much for the invitation today. I really appreciate it. My name is Lorena Lagarreta, and I am the executive producer and CEO of Dishing Dames. We are a promotional platform where we highlight women in culinary. I also run Upstart Hospitality, which happens to be a consulting firm where I work with several businesses in the food space, everything from startups and launches to existing businesses that really just need kind of a revamp. And through that process, I've had an opportunity to work with several, just kind of walking them through the PPP process and helping them now trying to get through that forgiveness process now and hopefully getting some more money. So thank you again for letting me be here. And if I can help anybody otherwise, I'll share my contact information also at the end. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. My name is Melanie Marie. I am the director of the Pittsburgh Metropolitan Area Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I am also a business owner, consultant, mom, all the hats. I recently started working on a project with Customers Bank, which is one of the things we're going to be talking about today. As you know, the PPP missed a lot of the minorities, small businesses, which is the underrepresented groups were hit the hardest in not receiving funds. So we're looking to level the playing field with our platform and, helping walk everyone through it. And we'll be talking about that more in a minute. But thank you all for being here. And again, thank you, Polly, for hosting.
Thank you, everyone for being here. I just tweeted the live stream and it's pinned on my profile. So if you want to share along with your friends and follow along via YouTube, it's perfectly fine. I also have the live chat, so if anyone who does not have access to Clubhouse, they can come in and contribute to this conversation via chat. Additionally, I do have a couple of resources shared on my profile, which you can go and quickly click on them and explore. It's from signing up for my weekly small business talk. You get information as well as guidelines on when I'm having my next talk. Or if you want a suggested theme and want to invite me quickly, sign up the form and I'll contact you. Also have like my Latin pitch night. If you're interested in being part of that, go look at the information on my link. And more importantly, the link that Melanie mentioned earlier with the Hispanic Chamber in Pittsburgh, the link is also there. It is link CH, believe, join PPP, if I am correct. But yeah, we're just gonna get started. We do have 3 people online, so I want to answer your question first, and then I'll go over and change the little format of this Q&A. Nayeli, do you have any questions regarding the PPP loan process?
I don't right now. I just joined because I recently heard about it. I wasn't aware of it, so I am a consultant, so I was just trying to get more information about it overall.
All right. Loida, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do have a company that right now we pivoted to doing digital products. Specifically, right now we're working on a video game, and I wasn't sure we qualified for the PPP.
Oh, just as like a really overview to that question, even if you're not sure if you qualify, you should go through the portal and try to apply as long as you fit these really basic requirements. You have to have fewer than 300 employees and have more than a 25% drop in revenue for this quarter from the previous year, because the previous year was before COVID. And then you have to have used your last PPP as you said you were going to use it. You can't apply for more funds, if you still have funds from your last ones. That's the really basic answer. If you have a 25% loss and you have less than 300 employees, you should give it a go.
Thank you.
And then it also depends on what time you obviously what time you started your company. If you started last year, you obviously won't be able to apply, but this is something like you already incorporated for a while, you should be able to as well.
So just a quick comment here. So we're kind of in the second phase of PPP. So you have right now what's called the first draw and the second draw. So if you've never applied for a PPP, you would fall under first draw. And that's open to pretty much any organization that, like Melanie mentioned, is of a certain size and, basically have already been started since 2018. I'm sorry, 2018 for the first draw. And then we have, of course, the second draw also in loans, which is if you've already gotten PPP once, then this would be your second draw. And that's when you have to go ahead and prove that you have a 25% drop in revenue out of 1 quarter of your last year. So we have kind of two things going on right now. So if you haven't applied ever, then you would do a first draw. And if you have already and you have money and you've already either spent it or you're planning to spend it and you need more, then you would go under the second draw. So just kind of to separate those two things out.
I love that. And I want to say, too, that a lot of people were intimidated because it is called a loan and not a grant. People are really afraid, hey, if I get this to bail me out now, am I going to be stuck with this loan later? It depends. If you plan on going on a vacation with the money, then yeah, you're going to have to pay it back later. But as long as you follow what you said you were going to use the money for, then you will not have to pay it back, and it is more like a grant. That is something that your bank will manage and walk you through, and it really is not that difficult of a process in comparison to having the money. So definitely take the chance. They will not give you the loan if you don't qualify, so it does not hurt to give it a try. And I also want to add that another comment that I heard from some of our businesses came from a place of pride. As a reminder, this is money that we have paid in as taxes. Everyone is going through this. It is not a reflection of yourself. Don't be shy. There's no need. This is a simple thing that you need for your business to get from point A to point B and thrive after this is all over. So do not hesitate.
All right, so Alejandro, do you have any specific questions? And then we'll get started with.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Alejandro. I work for Monster Goods LLC, which is an e-commerce company. I do the accounting. I don't have any specific questions right now. I'm here to learn and to contribute if necessary. So yeah, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Oh, we appreciate you. Thanks for being here. Have you already applied?
Yes. For the first one and the second one, I'm currently working on it. And as of right now, we're just waiting for the decision for the second round. So we are up to speed on that matter.
That's wonderful. Congratulations and great job.
Hi, I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep.
So my situation was a little unique. I am an international consultant, and in 2019, and I've had my business in 2015. In 2019, I went to the Caribbean to establish special education-based programs in the Caribbean, and that's what my consultancy does. And I only contract out people whenever I have particular projects to do, so I don't have employees full-time, but I do have employees based off of projects. And so with this particular project, it was just myself. However, I was only supposed to be there for 3 months, but then when the pandemic hit, I got locked in the country and I couldn't leave. And I couldn't leave for about 6 to 7 months. It was a developing country, so they didn't have a lot of resources to really navigate how to let people in and out, and it was interesting to say the least. So I've been back in the United States now for about 2.5 months. So I was wondering, would I qualify for the PPP loan, considering that after my 3-month contract was over, and although I was still in the country, I no longer had employment. So I had to manage that way. So would I qualify for the PPP loan? Now that I'm back in the States, I'm trying to get everything gathered up and such. And then my second question would be, what's the best website to go to? I don't want to try to get caught up in all of these, filibusters type websites or fake ones?
Absolutely. That is a great question. So, just really quickly, your business is registered in the US and been paying taxes here and all that this whole time, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, the really simple answer is that you just have to have the loss from this quarter last year. So, it doesn't matter if you haven't had contracts between now and then, because that's exactly what, we're trying to help is those losses. So, if you can show that 25% loss, that's really all that matters in this case. I think that all that information about you being out of the country is not even going to be relevant. And then to that, I'm with the Hispanic Chamber, and we do have a portal, and this portal is amazing, you guys. First of all, the bank that we partnered with, Customers Bank, they were the number 5 PPP loan processor last time around, and they are really like a smaller bank, more of a community bank based in Pennsylvania. And what they realized was that a lot of the smaller businesses and a lot of the minority businesses that didn't have all the same resources and the same bookkeeping practices and things missed out just because the applications were not correct or they didn't give all the information. So this portal, which you can find, we have a short link. It's bit.ly/CH-join-PPP. And the link is in my bio. Mine is direct with the Hispanic Chamber, so it looks different, but Polly also has the short link in her profile. And this will walk you through the process. It will have you upload the documents, and also there's one-on-one phone help in both English and Spanish, which I think is so important to answer these little questions. Was that everything that you asked? I can't remember.
Yes, it was. It was. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you and good luck. Also on there is a checklist for everything that you need and some more information. And there's also a video with a Q&A about the PPP. So hopefully it'll answer anything. And you can always feel free to submit questions there whenever you're watching it. And then we can get back to you. But I would suggest that one-on-one phone line.
Okay, so you said the website is bit.ly
Yep.
/CHJOINPPP.
That's correct.
All right, I must have put something in wrong because it's not coming up.
You know what? In the other link, I can give you the from directly to the organization website. It's pmahcc.org.
ACC.org/PPP. Okay.
And that's also in my bio.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, let me just share the link on my Twitter page so everyone can have access to it. You can also look at it on my profile, but I'll just share it on my Twitter as well. So if anyone has any questions, they can just click and not worry about spelling it.
Yeah, and Polly and I think going forward we'll probably be putting out some links and videos and things about the PPP. So if you guys are into following, I am not a person to say follow this person, but if you want more information, we will be sharing it.
Yeah, go ahead and sign up for the I also have another link on my description where it has the Small Business Saturdays, which is bit.ly, so bit.ly/ch small business, and it'll take you like a little Google form, so you'll be able to fill out a form. I will be sending more resources. If you want the spelling or anything on it, you can look at it on my bio, but I will also be sharing that on my Twitter page. So go follow me on my Twitter page if you have any other questions, or if you don't want to like sign up to a form, you can always just add me on Twitter and I'll be able to get your email like that as well. All right, if there are
Thank you, Polly.
Yeah, of course. If you have any more questions, we're gonna go over and do a little slide. You guys won't be able to see it, but we're gonna be talking about it. Lorena, do you have any other information you would like to share before we go on a slide?
Yeah, no, I think Melanie's got a plethora of resources to share, which is awesome. And I have to agree with her. It's been very difficult for people of color, women, minority-owned businesses to actually access some of these loans in the first round. Everything I've seen for the second round has gotten a little bit better for most. One thing I want to share is that it's really important that you have a somewhat of a relationship with your lender. I think that was the one thing we saw over and over again, is that most people didn't have any kind of relationship with their lender that they were working with, and it was hard to get those loans because even though you get approved by the SBA to go ahead and actually you qualify for this, it's up to your lender, your bank, to go ahead and give you the money. And that's where the struggle really came in. And so just hearing Melanie and the resources she has, if you're able to work through some with the Chamber of Commerce like this that has those resources and has those relationships, I think that's exactly what's really needed. So keep that in mind as you go through this process. It's an actually very easy process, and most people will get approved for it. Just keep in mind that the struggle is normally with the lender. So if you have that third party helping out, it's really, really beneficial.
And then one more question for you, Lorena. How long did it take for you from applying to getting the actual money? Like, what was the time frame roughly?
So what I've seen, especially with a lot of our clients, it's been different. We've had a huge firm ask for millions of dollars, and it was a quick turnaround for them, literally about a month's turnaround for them, which is wonderful for someone that was asking that much money. But again, because they had a very strong relationship, it was easy to get that money. I've had smaller organizations and smaller businesses that we've been helping and working with, and it's taken them a little bit longer to get that money. And by that I mean maybe a couple months to get money. And for some people, a couple months, 2 to 3 months is too long to wait. So sometimes it's a matter of just, again, being diligent with all the paperwork, having everything ready to go, having your application, and seeking it out. And then, again, talking to your lender over and over and over again. I had one client who dealt with a particular bank, and they were asking for additional, paperwork that was not on the application. And so in going in and talking with the lender, it was just kind of like, well, I really don't know this person. So that kind of was holding up the process for them. So that's where I kind of stress the relationship. But, for different people, it's been different times. I can't say like a couple weeks or a couple months because it's been different for everybody that I've worked with. So I don't know if that helps, Polly, but that's kind of where we've been with getting the money and the funds allocated.
Yeah.
I do want to add that the PPP, I did a live interview with the SBA, and they are really committed to trying to get this money out as quickly as possible. So once you apply, you definitely want to follow up with your lender. And that's why I would really say to go with someone you trust. That's kind of why we established this, not only the streamlined process, but having that trust and knowing that they're doing the right thing for the community and that they have the follow-up process so that you can call and get information, so that they will monitor to make sure that you have your best chance or that you absolutely will not have to pay it back. That trust is really important, like you said. So thank you.
And roughly how long is the process from applying? Like, how long does it take to apply?
Lorena, do you want to share your experience on that, and then I'll...
Sure, absolutely. Actually, applying was actually very easy. I have found that if you're a small business, so sole proprietors, independent contractors, anybody who's self-employed, everybody, those are people who qualify. I found that the application process is actually very simple as long as you have the right paperwork with you. It's a matter of actually just uploading the documentation, and that application normally gets processed, and quickly you get a quick response, matter of maybe within a week's time or so, Melanie, I think. And then if you're a bigger corporation, and this is where you talk about a big firm, they normally have, of course, because they have the funds, they have accountants working with them and getting all of this set up, and that can be a matter of days just to get that process. But normally, I'd say about a week or two, Melanie. I think that's been about the process that I've seen.
Yeah, that is also what the SBA confirmed. They do have a number of hours that they say, but I have not seen that from the other side. However, the actual application that you're going to be doing, the most important part, if you use a platform that walks you through it, it may be more complicated otherwise, but this is the process that I'm now familiar with, is really in preparing those documents. And on that resource page, which is linked in my bio as well as Polly's, it gives you a checklist, and getting all that information together, I think, may be the thing that takes longer than actually walking through the steps. And if you do use the portal, it's great because it takes you through one by one. You can save, you can, circle back, as we say here. And so it's great because you don't have to commit to sitting down and doing it all right now, and it all stays organized right there. And then you upload the documents directly. We're all business owners, so I'm sure everyone digitally does documents, but if you don't have a scanner, I do want to suggest there is a scanning tool for smartphones called Cam Scanner that is very easy, that I've been using for years, that will easily let you take documents you have in your hand and put them into high quality scans right in. So, it's not meant to be hard. We want it to be easy, and we want you to have all the tools and resources. And again, there is a phone number where you can get help in English or Spanish, just in case you have any little hangups.
I just want to reiterate what Melanie just said. Yes, I think the majority of people are having a harder time allocating or just trying to find their documents as opposed to going through the application. So don't let the application scare you. It's an easy process to apply. You probably just need a little bit more time to gather all the documents that you need. And I'm sure you have that in your files somewhere. So again, don't be scared to apply. Take the time to get your documents ready and do it. So yes.
And as a reminder, you have until March 31st is the deadline, but do not wait. Do it now. Print that checklist and get on it now, because the funds, they're going quickly. There are obviously billions of dollars, but it's a first come, first serve. So if you want your best shot, do it now.
And then one more question. Let's say I'm a freelancer and I mostly do design work. How would I go about, like, I'm a self-paid person, how would I go about figuring out, like, the cost of my lost, or just figuring out how much I make, like, yearly? How would I be able to, like, figure all those, like, numbers out? Is there, like, a way I can figure it out, like a website or something?
So, I know that there are different ways of doing this, and within some of those things that we have posted, there is a link, but it goes directly to the SBA website, and they kind of walk you through that. But basically, you just want to look at what you made first quarter last year, look at that number, and what you made this year. It's not that complicated. Where it gets a little more complicated is there is money allotted as well, and a lot of people don't know this, but for all the things you had to buy because of COVID and that were different because of COVID. So this really applies to small businesses, and I think especially in hospitality, there is money for PPE. So if you bought masks, those are included. If you had to buy new software because you were working from home, if you had HR complications due to everything, being remote. If you had to change your accounting practices and that cost you money, you had to get some type of program. Also, business supplies. So if, say, you're working from home and you had to buy a printer, or you had to buy paper, like things that you would have had in the office, all of these things are included in the PPP as well. And especially, like, restaurants had to put up a lot of those dividers and make all these signs. All of this stuff is now included in the second round. And I want to add that if you did not apply for the first round, you can still apply for the first and second round. So if you haven't applied at all, you'll be applying for the first round. And then if you did the first round already, you can apply for the second. But how it works to do both is you would apply for the first, you would use the money and apply the money where you needed it, which is another reason to do it as soon as possible. And then you could apply for the second one by March 31st.
Hey, Polly, and I'll add.
I have a question.
I'll let, right before we go to the next question, I'll just add this. For sole proprietors, the easiest way to figure out how much you are paying yourself is to go to your 1040C and go to line 31. That's ultimately going to be what they're going to be looking at. you'll take that, and that's going to be that. If you're a first-time, drawer, then you're going to go ahead and do that times 2.5, and that's going to tell you what you can go ahead and request. But it's going to be on your tax form, your 1040C, line 31. That's the number you're looking at. And that's what's going to, that's what you can go ahead and use. Because I get this question a lot from a lot of sole proprietors or freelancers. Where do I go? I don't have QuickBooks, or I haven't been using QuickBooks. I don't have an accountant. That's kind of where you want to go first.
And I want to say about that 2.5% for those of you who aren't sole proprietors, that is of your monthly payroll, and the PPP is up to $2 million. However, if you're in hospitality, the number is different. There's an exception. It's 3.5 or 3.5 times. I'm sorry, I said percent. So whatever your monthly payroll would be, anyone else, you multiply that by 2.5, and that's what your loan can be up to. And in hospitality, it's 3.5 up to 2 million.
Yeah, I have a question for Melanie.
Go ahead, Alejandro.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So regarding applying for the first and the second, for people who have not yet applied for the first, do you have to wait to use all of the funds for the first one and then apply for the second one, or can you do it while using the funds from the first round?
You do unfortunately have to use the funds, because that is a requirement of the second one, that all of the first funds had been used, which I have to say can be a little bit of a hurdle, because the second one does include the PPE software and all those things. So they're looking at some additional things. But if you do that in the next few days, you should have time, because as long as you submit by March 31st, you will have a shot at that. But yeah, that is a requirement.
Okay, so I wonder if it's within the legal limits to increase the salaries of your workers to spend up the amount faster, so you can have time to apply for the second before the deadline.
So I have seen that happen, and it was justifiable. It wasn't that they just did it. They said, okay, listen, we had to lay off a bunch of people. These people can't come back, so we can't get the money out. They already have other jobs, whatever it may be. But these other positions had to take over those roles. And as a result, we want to pay them. I even saw one case where there was back pay. But whatever you're doing, every case is different, and it does need to be justifiable. So what I would suggest is, if that's the route that you want to take, as you're applying and as you're going through the process, use that that one-on-one line that we have for help, because they are deep in this. You can also call your local SBA and just check and verify with them, because the last thing that you want is to be looking at this as a grant and then have to pay some of it back. So it is possible, but just always check.
Perfect. Thank you. I would like to mention one more thing regarding the application process. As Lorena just mentioned, that the applying for the loans is very easy as long as you have the proper documentation. So I would highly suggest that before applying, you gather all of the documents. And regarding the scanning, I would highly suggest to have a very high quality scanning, because the last thing you want is to scan something and you get not rejected, but you get the process takes longer because of the documentation is not properly professionally scanned. So I would invest in a scanner if possible, because it happened to me long time. I learned already that scanning properly is very important.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, and also in the second round, you can include that scanner and printer and anything else. So that's important to add here.
All right, thank you everyone for your guys' questions. We're gonna go over our little slide deck. Me and Melanie are gonna go over it, and then if you have any more additional questions, just wait till the end once we're done with the little presentation. All right, Melanie, you can get started.
Yeah, so I just want to open by saying these slides were given to me directly by the SBA, which is why we don't have authorization to share them. But we want to get the information out there for you. So again, if you have any questions, let us know. Really quick, the agenda. First, we're going to go over where we are, the key dates, a little bit about the first draw, the second draw, forgiveness updates, and what to do now or additional resources. All right, Polly, go ahead.
So this is where we are. So Congress intended this round of COVID economic aid fund to support the hardest hit small businesses and those in underserved segments, including women, minorities, and veterans. The SBA is committed to ensuring the program are launched as quickly as possible to deliver critical economic aid to America's small business and other eligible entities.
Awesome. So again, in my bio, there is a link as well as Polly's bio to this information, the checklist, and the portal that'll walk you right through, which is super important. Most of the deadline dates and all the different notification dates have passed at this point, but the most important thing is that the final deadline to submit the application is March 31st. And I'm going to go over some of the top takeaways, Polly. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So some of the top takeaways from the program, this second draw really expands how the funds can be used. In the first one, no one was prepared for this. The administration, Jovita Carranza and Alan Gutierrez were leading the SBA, so we're really lucky that we had two Latinos really trying to look out for us, but they really could not have seen everything in such a small period of time. So where we saw that all these businesses had so many additional funds that they had to spend on the PPE, getting things ready, this covers that. A borrower can now select a covered period between 8 and 24 weeks. The second draw also offers loan options for the hardest hit small businesses. It allows a deduction of expenses, which we already talked about. Updates simplified forgiveness program up to $150,000. So that's the other thing is this time there's a lot more guidance for the banks on how to help you walk through forgiveness. And that's not something that you do yourself. That's something that comes from your lender, which is why it's very important to work with someone that you trust or, that's been verified, like the portal that we have. And it says no longer subtracts EIDL advance from the PPP loan forgiveness amount. Polly, do you want to go over what is a first draw PPP loan?
Yeah, so this is just for eligible applicants that did not receive a PPP loan prior to August 9, 2020. So PPP loan eligibility now includes additional types of entities, covered eligible expenses and expanding, as we spoke about earlier. And then borrowers can cover period use PPP loan proceeds to be any length between 8 and 24 weeks after disbursement. And then certain borrowers may request an increase to the original PPP loan amount. Must have been business by February 15, 2020. There was a question here regarding if they could apply. So as long as you have to be in business by February 15, 2020. And then the deadline is must apply on or before March 31st, 2021. I would not suggest waiting until last minute to apply to a government website because websites are more likely to crash. So I would suggest for you to apply way ahead of that. Try like a week or like a couple of days, even not even days, because I had many experiences with like working websites from the government where they just crash.
Yeah, I would say apply now, like today, tomorrow. Like start getting your stuff together. You just want to have the best shot. I also want to add that there was a gap with gig workers, sole proprietors, 501c3s. A lot of these things have been added. So now housing cooperatives, destination marketing organizations, different travel organizations, chambers of commerce, independent contractors, 501c3s, 501c6, 50119s, which are veterans organizations, and tribal businesses are now all eligible. Polly, do you want to talk a little bit about the second draw PPP?
Yeah, so newly eligible are housing cooperatives, destination marketing organizations, certain...
Sorry, the next one.
Oh, next one, sorry. What is the second draw though? Sorry. I was like messaging people. They were sending me questions, and I was like, oh. So for borrowers that previously received a PPP loan, have 300 employees or less, and suffer 25% reduction in gross receipts. So something that we mentioned earlier. And then for borrowers that are maximum loan of the second PPP loan is 2.5x average monthly 2019 or 2020 payroll costs, up to $2 million. For borrowers in the accommodation and for services sector, the maximum loan amount for the second drop PPP loan is 3.5x average monthly 2019 or 2020 payroll costs, up to $2 million.
I want to add on that 3.5 is for hospitality related, and all other businesses will have the 2.5 times.
And then second drop PPP loan applicants must submit the information on SBA form 2483ST, and you can obviously get more information with this on the link on the website if you're a little bit confused of anything that we're sharing here.
So the eligibility we've already talked about, but for anyone new, I'm just going to go over it really quick. You have to have used your first PPP to apply even for the second one. You have to have no more than 300 employees and demonstrate at least a 25% reduction in gross receipts in comparable quarters in 2019 and 2020. So if you're looking at a quarter where you already had losses last year, you can use your 2019 as well. The next part is a little bit about the loan terms and maturity, and if your loan is not 100% forgiven. And before we go over this, I just want to say, if you use the funds how you are supposed to use them for what you're supposed to use them for, your business, you will not have to pay your loan back, and you will be working with your lender on this. It is their job. They will do the follow-up, but please do not be intimidated by this. What happens if it's not 100% forgiven? Just don't use it for a vacation or, shoes. Go ahead, Polly.
Or buy a Lamborghini.
If you want to buy me something and you want to pay it back, that's your decision. But go ahead, Polly.
Yeah, so this is the PPP loan forgiveness updates per Economic Aid Act. So borrowers might apply for loan forgiveness through their lenders. Lenders submit lender forgiveness decision to the SBA. So make sure you have a contact with the SBA through the whole process so you can ask them questions. And then the EDL advances are no longer deducted from PPP loan forgiveness payment. Expenses paid with PPP loan funds are federally tax deductible. Consult the IRS for details on this. Expanded forgivable expenses are permissible for any unforgiven PPP loan. New simplified forgiveness application for the PPP loans on $150K and under. And then per the CARES Act, forgiving PPP loans are not federally taxable income.
So next we're going to go over the process a little bit. The first step is to find a lender. As Lorena said earlier, it is really important to find someone that you trust, who has it together. A lot of lenders last time around were being very selective. They were saying only their current customers they were serving, or they were looking at a certain loan amount, because at the end of the day, the bank is going to make money based on what you're getting. So they weren't taking a lot of the smaller amounts. With this program and portal that we've worked on, the goal is to get everyone who needs it the PPP. They did the fifth most. They did $5 billion in PPP last year, so they are very experienced. And again, that link is in my bio as well as Polly's, and there are checklists there as well. So that's that first step, find a lender. Next is completing the application. So with this process, it will walk you through one by one. You will submit your documents directly, and you can have one-on-one help for any questions that you have. So you never need to be stressed or have any questions or wonder if you're doing it right. The third step is that the SBA issues a loan number. The lender submits your application electronically to the SBA. They check for compliance. And then from there, your bank will be doing the follow-up and checking in with you regarding the forgiveness piece, which I'm going to throw to Polly.
Oh, sorry. Where are we?
PPP loan forgiveness.
I thought we already went over this.
Yeah, this is the second slide. So this basically just says that your lender is in charge of this, and updates are per the economic aid impact. This is a little technical, so actually, maybe we can leave this more to the site, but all the information is on the SBA site, and it's according to the Economic Aid Act and the CARES Act. Also, it's important to note on here that forgiven PPP loans are not federally taxable income. So when you're doing your taxes in the coming year, you will not have to pay taxes on any of this money, which is also very helpful in helping you move ahead. Actually, and that's pretty much everything as far as the slideshow goes, because all of the resources that are on here are listed under that link that Polly and I have. So I don't know, maybe this might be a good time for some more questions.
And then
I have a
Camilla.
question.
Yes, go ahead, Alejandro.
Yeah, so regarding the lenders, I wonder if, well, my company, we use Loan Builder. I wonder if you have any opinion regarding using this bank, any experience with this bank. It's been so far so good, but yeah, I would like to hear your opinion. Loan Builder is part of PayPal. Thank you.
So I personally don't have any experience with that bank, but if it's someone that you have a relationship with and that you've had a good experience with, I would say that that's great, and maybe stick with them because you have a history. Why we chose Customers Bank was because they do give back to the community. So they literally took the percentage that they would get from a loan and give back to the Latino small business community for every loan that they give out. They don't take 100% of the proceeds. And they've been very active in the Hispanic community. They have provided for scholarships for Latino students. And what I saw the last time around is, of course, everyone's getting help, but a lot of the other banks were, like I said, I mean, for lack of a better term, discriminating by business size, by the loan size that they were doing, by if they were their customers. And it was just so clear that this particular bank really was just in it to help the community and get the funds out, and not just, getting fat off of everyone else kind of struggling. So that was our background with it. But by all means, if you have a lender that you trust that has a process, because also some people have relationships with smaller banks, which I don't think is the case for you, where they just haven't had the same resources to create these systems that will help make the process easier. So that's my thought on it.
Yeah, Alejandro, I've worked with several of the big banks and also some of the federal credit unions also. And a lot of the big banks, whether it's Chase, Wells Fargo, Frost, BBVA, I've worked with a lot of those. And the process has been really simple. Where I found that there's a little bit more of a, I guess, of a hiccup or perhaps even an obstacle has been with some of the smaller banks or the federal credit unions, where for the first round, they had gone to a third party to go ahead and actually go through the selection process for them. And that's kind of where we had a bit of that stall, where they were being extremely selective, as Melanie mentioned right now. And that's where the selectivity was kind of going, well, you haven't been a member here for too long, or you haven't been banking with this bank for too long, you're a small company, you don't qualify, things like that. But I saw that with maybe some of the smaller banks that they were doing that. The bigger banks, I think, were a little bit better prepared, and they really just kind of took this on and tried working with as many of their as many of their clients as possible to get these loans approved and move forward. So that was my experience. But the second round seems to be so much more better qualified and so much more better prepared and really just ready to go and to give more money out to people who really do need it. So again, I can't stress, like everybody else has been saying, don't be scared to go out and get this money, apply for it, go through it, do it.
And I want to add that experience is so crucial too. You mentioned working with the bigger banks. That was the other thing about this bank was when you look at the top banks, they're number 5. So the top ones were the ones you mentioned, like Citi, Chase, etc. They were the only smaller local bank that processed at that level, 5 billion. So that was one of the key things that we looked at as well. Do you have the experience?
I have a doubt. I don't know if I could question something.
Yes, absolutely.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for inviting me up. So here's the thing. I was about the PPP loans. I'm a little bit worried because I have been in the U.S. for only 3 years living here. Even though I was born here, I was taken to Latin America as a child. And I came back when I realized that, like, basically running a business in the country where I was at was pretty much impossible. So I came here and I said, okay, I want to start my business. I'm a fashion designer. I have a lot of experience in shows and, all of the publicity thing, all of the internet stuff, all of the, oh, you're great, we love your stuff, all of that, been there, done that, everybody loves what I do, blah, blah, blah. But then when it comes to the business side, right, I'm having problems first because this is my perception, of course. I'm not going to say that there is a bias, even though I may perceive it as a bias. But I have, I don't know, I find it difficult to, get a good communication with the banks. They have so many, there's so many, how do you call that? Like requisites that you have to go through or comply, or things that you have to have that, of course, me starting a business, I do not have that. So I hopped on here. I know perfectly well that all you guys probably have had businesses for a while, and I'm just starting out on the business side. So maybe I would rather be more fit for a room where they're talking about startups or stuff or anything like that. But I did want to, hear some words of advice about that, because I find that because my son is asthmatic. I was living in LA, and it was impossible because he was sick all the time. So finally I said, okay, I will move to Oregon, which is totally like fashion in Oregon. They don't mix and match. It's not. I can use like where I live as a place where I can create my product, right? And it's great because the labor is everything is much more inexpensive than if I lived, say, in New York. However, I do have to show and everything in New York or whatever and sell in New York. But I do find it hard to find programs that are willing to help people like me. That, like, Oregon is, for example, where I am, I feel it is very, there's not so much diversity like you would find in bigger cities. So yesterday, for example, I was going over, some friends of mine, they're going through, one of them got a help with a program called Generator or whatever in Milwaukee that is specifically targeted to brown and black women, or another person got a grant also, so these are like specifically targeted for people like me that I'm a single mom. I'm really struggling with the economic part. I'm really trying very, very hard to get this business going, but I do not meet the criteria that maybe a big bank or even a small one for that part would want. So any suggestions?
Camila, I absolutely have a few suggestions. First of all, I want to say, with the PPP, especially now with the second time around, it is perfect for someone like you who has been doing their own thing, who doesn't have a business established. They really realize that gig workers and people who, are essentially a sole proprietor, but just like contracting, making money on their own, doing sales here, sales there. This PPP is perfect for you. So if you say were, selling some of your pieces before and now you're not doing as much business, you can still apply even though you don't technically have your business set up in a legal sense, because they do realize that was income, and that is income that you no longer have. So this time around, they really tried to solve that problem for people, like you and other people in that situation. as far as just the overall, for those of you listening, and I'm not sure, Camila, that it sounds like that you have the same losses, but there are other grants and disaster relief and things out there. Um, because we're in a different area, I can't tell you exactly what would be available for you through your state or as far as starting your business. But what I would say is to go into the community and go into, your city's website and find there are resources where they have programs that will walk you through starting a business and that will hold your hand and help connect you with these lenders that take on startup businesses and things like that, especially with your local Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Um, I'm not familiar with the one in your area, but if there is not a local one, there will be a statewide. And if you can't go to the statewide, the national is very willing, the United States Hispanic Chamber, to help small businesses in any way that they can. And getting into a network of people in your area who have gone through this before, who know those resources. As soon as you get your foot in the door with one, you will just start seeing more and more connections and building up, as well as have other people who are passionate and know what they're doing and want to help you and see you succeed. So that would be my advice for that. Does anyone else want to add?
Yeah, for like the website you can go look for if you're from Oregon, there's the website hmccoregon.com, which is the Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce for Oregon. Sorry. You can look up the resources there. They have the COVID-19 resources and the AMC scholarship. You can look at all their benefits that they have locally for you, and it's a little bit more tailored for you.
I'd also suggest going to the Oregon Small Business Development Center as well. They often offer several classes as far as like writing a business plan, understanding QuickBooks, things like that, and they can actually kind of guide you and direct you there within the city as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your support. I will look all of these things up. Thank you. I really am very grateful. Thank you so much.
Congratulations on embarking on this journey and good luck. I mean, it's really admirable to go and move to another country to pursue your dream, and I'm super proud of you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Does anyone else maybe in the audience have any questions? Everyone is welcome up on stage. I'm not sure when Polly's planning on wrapping up, but I want to make sure that everyone has their questions answered. And if you're too shy to come up on stage, just as a reminder, there are resources in mine and Polly's bios that you guys can go with the checklist. It has links to the SBA within those checklists with some of the information. But at the end of the day, I would say just start going through that application process. It will walk you through. You can call for one-on-one help. Any of these questions that you have, even if you don't want to ask them, you can ask them in a private setting and make sure that you really have the best shot at securing these funds. There's no reason not to apply. It is something that everyone needs right now, and when you look back on your business and you're thriving later, it's not saying anything. Pride is not an issue, and we all just want to survive and then thrive together.
I have a question. I actually have two questions. I'm communicating with a friend of mine right now as I'm going through listening to this room in Clubhouse, and her question was, what if she hadn't filed for taxes for 2019 yet, and she doesn't look like she'll be able to get it done before the deadline of March 31st, but she does have her records, especially when it comes to the Schedule C of the tax form. Would someone be able to still work with her as far as getting the loan, although she didn't have that form in front of her?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, yes. And normally what they'll ask for is going to be the extension. If she filed an extension, that would be extremely helpful. If she's done any kind of payroll, it doesn't absolutely need to be the 1040C. It can actually be any kind of payroll documentation she might actually have. And if they ask for the tax forms, you can always show them your extension that you filed.
What about if she's an independent contractor? The same thing?
Same thing.
Okay. All right. And the second question I had was the phone number. I know you all keep mentioning about getting in contact with someone and for personal questions. Do you have that phone number available, or is there somewhere on your personal bios that I could look for?
So that is actually one you open the process to start going through that application, then this specific, like this, what I'm talking about is specific to the program that we've created. So that's only once you start and once you open the portal. But you can call your local SBA. They are doing a great job at answering a lot of the questions as well. But I would say really the best thing to do would be to start the process anyway, even if you're going with, a different platform or lender, because you don't know necessarily what the questions will be after you know what I mean? Like, you go through the checklist and you might have questions about that, but it's a lot more simple than people think. And I think people get like kind of worked up and worried. And then once they start going through it, they realize that it's a lot easier.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much.
I'm just gonna say we have been live on YouTube for 55 minutes, so we have a couple minutes left until we sign off. Do you have any questions up here? I know I saw Loida with her mic go on and off. I wasn't sure if she had a question or not. Okay, no questions. Yeah, so if anyone's in the audience and want to ask questions, you can go on my live stream and ask questions if you're a little bit too shy, or you can just tweet it to us and we can answer them to you here. Or you just want to get any information, just go through the links. Since there are any more questions, I'm just going to go over really quickly for announcements. There is a couple links on my bio that you should be able to click on them. They're bit.ly bio, so you should be able to type them out or just copy paste. I also have them on my Twitter page. And if you want to get more information and feedback, be sure to fill out the small business form from Google. I'll be able to get your email, and I'll be able to send out like a little bit of more information, as well as overall like things that you need to know through the process of applying to PPP loans. Additionally, if you know any startups who are interested in pitching with 8 amazing investors that are going to be announced shortly, probably next week, be sure to fill out the Latin pitch link or send it over to them and let them know. Or you could just send them over to my Twitter account and have them message me if they're interested in applying. We're only going to be having 10 companies pitch. It'll be a 3-minute pitch, with judges having 4 minutes to 5 minutes to give you feedback on it. And this is a practice pitch, so people who are not comfortable in pitching to other investors, a really great way for you to practice and get like the feedback that you need so you can get the funds that your startup needs. Any questions from Lorena or Melanie, or overall just announcements?
For me, this is like the biggest and most important thing right now. We just want to make sure that everyone has what they need to keep going. So I'm going to reserve mine, but I can, especially for anyone new in the room, just go through a really quick overview of the PPP after Lorena. Do you have any announcements?
Yeah, no, I just want to quickly say I want to encourage everyone to really look at this and apply for these loans. And honestly, they are so easy to apply, to go through the application process, and even the forgiveness part. Don't be scared. It's I know the word loan is very scary, and the process of getting the loan is probably very scary. But the reality is that the SBA has done an incredible job of making this really easy for everybody. And I encourage you to really seek it out and follow through on it. The money's there. Use it. Stay in business, and keep doing what you're doing. So yes, please go out there and get it. And Melanie, thank you so much for all that you have contributed. It's been amazing. I really appreciate all the resources you're sharing here today also.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's really good to hear that there are people in the community, other people who are trying to make these go through, who are helping people, who are giving them the resources that they need. Everyone does have local resources, but since most things are remote, it's just so easy. Like she said, it's not an intimidating process. It sounds like it is, and when we think of getting a loan, I think it can be one of the most difficult things in life, but they have made sure that, especially this time around, the process is easier so that the smaller and underrepresented businesses have a better shot to keep their employees and stay open safely during this pandemic. We want to make sure that you have the money that you have or that you need to make sure that everyone is safe when they go to your business or when you meet with clients. So I just wanted to go over a really quick overview since we do have a few minutes left. This is the second round of the PPP. If you didn't submit for the first one, if you didn't apply, that's fine. You can apply for the first one now. And if you want to apply for both, you need to do the first one as soon as possible. You are still eligible for the second one, which if you already did number one, you will be applying for number two. If you are applying for both, you need to spend all of the money from the first draw before you can apply for the second draw. Both applications are due by March 31st, but it is on a first come, first served basis, so you want to do it as quickly as possible. The amount that you qualify for is 2.5 times your monthly payroll. So if your monthly payroll, say, is $15,000, you qualify for $37,500. That is a little bit higher, 1% higher if you're in the hospitality area. It is 3.5 times your monthly payroll, up to $2 million. For the first draw, you have to have 300 employees or less. And what I forgot to mention earlier was the second one, they did raise that to 500 employees or less. The other requirement is that you have to have a 25% loss in gross receipts for the quarter in comparison to last year. And if you're looking at a quarter where you were already affected, you can look back to your 2019 to prove that loss. This time around, there have been a lot of additions. The first time it was mostly payroll, but now it includes anything that you had to buy, masks, PPE. A lot of people don't think about it because they're just doing what they need to. But if, say, you had to get a subscription to something to stream live, or you had to upgrade some of your online services, any software, hardware that you needed to get as a result of having to go virtual, that is also covered. If you had changes in your HR practices that cost you money, that cost someone overtime, that is covered. Any accounting changes that cost you money, if you had to hire an accountant to do your last application or anything like that, all of those things are included. Also, a lot of people thought, oh, well, I'm not a business, I'm a contractor, or, whatever it may be, I'm a gig worker. Literally any 25% loss. It doesn't matter how you were doing business. If you lost 25% of your income, they want to help you get that income back and really stimulate the economy. The website, so I am, for those of you who don't know, I am the director of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce here in Pittsburgh. We worked with Customers Bank, which was the 5th largest lender in the first draw of the PPP. They processed $5 billion, and we're only after all of the huge, big national banks. And we worked with them to create an online application portal that will literally walk you through every step, make sure that everything is done correctly, that you have one-on-one help in English and Spanish if you need it. That is via telephone. And on our website, which the direct would be pmahcc.org/PPP, which is in my bio. We have document prep lists in both English and Spanish, as well as frequent questions in Spanish, because all those frequent questions are in English on a lot of other websites. So we just did the Spanish one. There's also a video that will answer a lot of your questions if you just want some more information. And then, of course, the link to the portal that'll walk you right through. Just as a last time, I want to reiterate, do not be intimidated. Even if you apply and you don't qualify, they're not going to give you the loan if you don't qualify. So the worst thing would be that you spend a couple of hours and you don't get it. The only other thing that could be a negative is if you get the money and you don't use it as it was intended, you will have to pay the money back. But as long as you use that money for your business, you have nothing to worry about. That's my overview. Do you guys think that I missed anything?
Nope, that is a pretty good overview for everything that we talked about today. And then, as we mentioned previously, make sure to check out all the links that we have on our bios to get any more information up to date. And overall, if you have any more future questions, you can obviously reach out to our moderators, which is Lorena and Melanie, which we want to say thank you so much for having the time to be here and being present. I tried to do this room a couple of times and I always got canceled last minute. I'm so happy I was able to finally do this room and provide the resources for our community. Additionally, this will be the last time I'll be hosting this room on a Saturday. I'll be moving to Friday starting next week. So if you're looking to get more information on small businesses overall, I have a weekly changing theme. Be sure to check out the room for Friday, and be sure to follow me and your moderators, which is the little green little lime that you see there. If you're new to Clubhouse, be sure to follow us and get more information on cool clubs that we have. Melanie has the possibility room that is the longest running room in Clubhouse. And additionally, information will be, if you wanna just got in here and like missed out a lot of the information that we gave, don't worry about it. You can go to my Twitter handle, and there's a live link to the recording right now. So there's a YouTube live streaming. It'll be there. You should be able to click on it and get all the information, or just if you can speed through it and just go to the information that you want, you can do that as well. Additionally, you can share it with your friends. Be sure to share it with anyone who's going through the process of applying to it, and overall just trying to get more information out there. So
I do want to add about the positivity room. So that is a great place on Clubhouse. It's every Sunday from 10 p.m. Eastern to 12 a.m. Again, Eastern. And we share one positive thing from the past week to uplift each other, celebrate, and take positivity into the coming week. It's an amazing vibe. It's really uplifting. And I'm actually returning this week after a little hiatus. So I would love to see you all there. And thank you all for being here. I hope all your questions were answered. And if not, please submit them.
yeah, so I'm going to ask everyone to get off the mute mic, and say goodbye to YouTube on 3. And that is how I normally sign up, making sure everyone here involved says it. So on 1, 2, 3. Goodbye, YouTube.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.